Hi, and welcome to Coffee and Calacas. I'm your host, Joe. If you are new to this podcast, I just want to welcome you and let you know that this is a weekly podcast where we sit around the coffee table, drink some coffee while we discuss stories of the supernatural, mysticism, and what else lies in the beyond. If this is something that interests you, I hope you stick around and enjoy this week's episode. Thank you. So, in this week's episode, I'm going to discuss with you a little bit about Dracula. Something that I love about literature is that it's always changing. Um, I know that I read Dracula in elementary. I'm not sure exactly what age, maybe around fourth or fifth grade. But something about it, I mean, I knew what it was. We all knew Dracula is a vampire and sucks your blood, and it's supposed to just be this. I guess you could say not necessarily morbid or macabre, but you know maybe even a little bit sensual even, because, I mean, it's the whole, like, "Let me bite into your neck," like, it's a pretty sexy move, if you ask me. But, yeah, it's supposed to be something that's a little bit, on the creepy side because here's this person or not necessarily a person, but here's this creature that, seduces you, kinda convinces you, and, you just say, "Hey, feed on me. Here I am." And it's pretty interesting how, you're able to just say, "Hey, go for it," you know? "You want to suck my blood? Go for it. Here it is." Um, but yeah, something I do love about literature that is that the idea of a vampire is always changing. I mean, take Stephanie Meyer's Twilight. I know. If you're groaning about this, I'm sorry, but you know what? Twilight's my guilty pleasure. I do enjoy, reading the book, and I do enjoy watching the movie. Yeah, the acting is, cheesy and stuff, but you know what? I'm not there to, uh learn. I'm there to be entertained, and it's entertaining enough. I mean, do I believe vampires sparkle? Well, no, I don't really think they sparkle, but I mean, that would be kind of cool. That would be kind of epic, But the idea that, okay, usually when you think of a vampire, vampires are very fast. They're gorgeous creatures that, I mean, because how else are they to seduce you? If you were to, okay, think back to what's that dude's name? Nosferatu. If you have an idea of what Nosferatu looks like, it's a creature that looks a little bit like, Mr. Burns from, The Simpsons, you know? Longish face, these weird little fucking teeth, and, it's just an odd looking creature, and I don't really consider Nosferatu sexy, it is what it is, right? But when you wanna picture Dracula, you think of this, specimen of a man who, you know, gets stronger and, just is able to do things, and he's fast and he's quick and, he's smart, and it's a pretty sexy idea, and I'm bringing this up now because, yeah, we had Valentine's Day recently, and, Valentine's Day, you wanna get a little sexy. And, um, I mean, I'm not saying, "Hey, if you're into sucking blood, go for it, cool, that's great." Not my idea of fun. But, you would consider, hey, a vampire waltzes in, and I say waltzes in because when I picture a vampire, I don't picture someone who's just, gonna go like slunking in and just be all clunky. No, no, no. That's more of a Bigfoot kind of thing. Um, a vampire is gonna be very just refined and graceful because, I mean, you've had all these years to refine yourself and, practice on your craft. And if you're still a clunky old vampire, dude, you're doing something wrong, man. Just step into the light. But if you go out there and you're, you know, the person who can command a room, like, damn, that's great. You know, you waltz in there and you look at someone, and I mean, you're able to, just have your pick of the crop. We're all fresh meat for your vampire. And here he comes in and he's like, "Hey, how are you? How are you doing? You know? I see that you're drinking a red wine. "Oh, I too like red wine. Yes, I have a passion for red." And I mean, hey, I mean, you start talking and it's something about him that mesmerizes you and it entraps you, and then you're sucked in, and boom, baby. Next thing you know, you're a piece of meat. You're the main course. You're the red wine. I mean, that's honestly what I picture a vampire to do. Now, I don't necessarily think, oh, I mean, and I can see where Stephanie Myers was going with her Twilight, where she wanted to give it that alluring effect where, oh, they see the Cullens and oh, ooh la la, pretty hot. And it came off a little cheesy, but no joke, like it was good. Then you have an interview with a vampire with, Anne Rice, here's this vampire who's just wallowing in self-existence and just not sure what to do with himself and but he's gorgeous, he's this gorgeous thing and you know the way he talks and he just he seduces you because that's what a vampire is supposed to do. Seduce you to drink your blood because how else are they supposed to survive? But I mean, if you really think of I mean, okay, so animals in the wild, regardless, like, they need to find a way, not necessarily to be seduced, but to be able to be beaten, hunted down. So you're gonna have a gazelle who looks better than some of the others, and then the lion's gonna try to find a way to, capture it, and of course, with a gazelle and a lion, it's different completely because the lion's gonna be able to run fast, and with the lion's weight against the gazelle's weight and stuff. I mean, it balances out, okay. But as humans, you know, the vampire is supposed to be, I guess, our predator. The one who is able to find a way to be able to like entrap us and just, I mean, have its way with us, right? So Dracula. Like I said, I knew about Dracula early on. Um, I feel that if you are born and within the minute you don't know about Dracula, I mean, you're clearly doing something wrong in life. I mean, if a 1 minute old child doesn't know about Dracula, what are they learning? That might be a little too early, right? But nonetheless, I mean, there have been several movies about Dracula, and each one good nonetheless. Like it does what it's supposed to do. It shows you who Dracula is, and it's portrayed in such a way that it's just like you're it's enjoyable. If someone doesn't enjoy Dracula, well then are they even enjoying life? Because you should. So Dracula is a novel by Bram Stoker, and it was published in 1897. So it's a novel that is a narrative and it's given to us through types of letters and newspaper articles. And um it has no single protagonist, but it opens with a solicitor named Jonathan Harker who is taking a business trip to stay at the castle of a Transylvanian nobleman, who is Count Dracula. And I mean, just that on its own. If you haven't seen, and I think it's a Netflix show, and I believe it's called Dracula. Oh my gosh, you know what? You know, stop the podcast. Go to your Netflix account, borrow one from, Tia Beva, and be like, Tia, I'm gonna borrow your Netflix account. Hit up your bestie, be like, girl, I need your Netflix account. Go watch it. Go watch. If you don't have one, go watch it because that's a really good show, honestly. Something I did enjoy watching, on the weekends and watched I think I'm not sure if it's 2 seasons already. I think it's for sure 1 season, and very well done, very well done. Um, it portrayed a pretty, I mean, could I say accurate? I'm not sure if it's accurate, but yeah, it kinda is. I mean, it does Dracula in such a way that if you don't like it, something's wrong with you. Not with the show, it's just you, you know? But yeah, so basically that's what it is, this guy Jonathan goes to this castle and he's gonna stay with Count Dracula and um so the reason we know about these letters is because Jonathan manages to escape Dracula's castle because Dracula turns out to be a vampire. And it's like, oh, bro, what? And just think about it, in 1897, wasn't that kind of like, that's pretty exciting. It's a sexy topic. Imagine, the women back then, oh dear Lord. Oh goodness gracious me. Did we just read about that? Oh goodness gracious. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure if that's exactly what they sounded like, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it was the talk of the town. People were, it's a little salacious. Like, here's this man that likes to suck on people. It is, just that. It's not more than, I mean, that's how he survives. He's a leech, and you can say, well, he's more than a leech, but that's what a vampire is. It's someone that has to feed off of you in order to continue to survive. I read a book recently. If you haven't discovered the author Grady Hendrix, go to the library right now. Stop what you're doing. Stop watching the Dracula show. Go to the library. Go rent a Grady Hendrix book, and whichever one you find, rent it. Check it out. You'll enjoy his writing. His writing's very oh, I mean, I won't say necessarily unique, but it's different. It's very different. It's entertaining. I honestly enjoy. I've read several of his books, and each one I have enjoyed. And one of the ones I had recently read is called the Southern Book Club, something about book club and vampires. Okay, no joke, very good book, and it portrays a vampire in such a way that yeah, you get a bit of that Dracula feel for it, but it's its own thing. And that is what I love about literature, that you can get in a concept, an idea, and you make it your own. Things are ever changing. The whole idea of that, oh, it has to be just this, where he cannot go out at night, he cannot do this, it works to an extent, but then what? Then what? You need it needs to be able to transcend through time and the idea of a vampire has transcended. In Twilight, you had this vampires that were able to go out in the daytime, but they were shiny AF, man. Like, boy, blot yourself with a blotting napkin because you're looking a little extra shiny today. In this vampire book that I read, I do believe the vampire also is able to go out in the daylight. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the way they describe it, he goes out into the daylight, but it makes him very sick. And his preference is, to be in the darkness. Um, great stuff. Very different than what I had expected, but great stuff. So yeah, Count Dracula is a vampire, and um, you know, Jonathan Harker discovers him, and he's like, he knows his weaknesses. I guess Dracula sleeps during the day, and Jonathan's like, this is my chance to escape, but he himself is starting to get weaker, and with time he's managed to escape, and Van Helsing at the end kills Dracula, and that's the end of it. So it Stoker produced over 100 pages of notes for the novel. Okay, so he had extensive drawings from folklore and history. Because some people have asked, like, is Dracula real? Well, he's, like I have said before, things are always based off a kernel of truth. So yeah, he was based off someone, um, with like a, oh my gosh, it's that Russian Kolchesi. Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. Watched 2 episodes ago. Yeah, him. Again, he was based off someone who was real, and that's kind of what happens with our stories. They they come from something, and they're built up, and they transform, and then they build up a little bit more, and again they transform, and you make it your own. You know, it transcends through time. It needs to be able to. When things can't go through time, they're often forgotten. They're often, just left in the past. So when something can continue to grow with you and something that's pretty legendary, and Dracula's pretty legendary, um, it's able to go through time, and it shows that this is what started it all. So yeah, he had a bunch of notes and drawings, and he kind of based himself off of Transylvanian folklore and history. Some scholars have suggested that the character of Dracula was inspired by historical figures like Wallachian Prince Vlad the Impaler, or the Countess Elizabeth Bathory. But there is widespread disagreement that okay, maybe it was, but um, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's just honestly, I think it was. It's like I said, little bits and pieces kind of fit in, and Bram, Stoker made it his own because he's like, let's how can I make this better? And that's what you should always ask yourself if you're writing something. How can I make this better? It is one of the most famous pieces of English literature. Like I said, go to the library, rent a book, order it on Amazon. If you need an Amazon account, well, Amazon's going up. So no, go to the library, it's cheaper. Um, yeah, so it is one of the most famous pieces of English literature, and many of the book's characters have entered popular culture as archetypal versions of their characters. For example, Count Dracula is the quintessential vampire. So when you think of vampire, you think of Dracula, this man who sleeps in a coffin, or has to have a little lair, and the dramatics and the cape and the effects, and here suck my blood, and you know that's when you think of a vampire, that's usually the voice you do. The "Oh, my dear, let me suck a blood. Let me you look gorgeous tonight. Oh, wow." That's usually you're not gonna go and say, "Oh, hey, Bella. Wow, you're wearing the white pants today." You know, you're not gonna think of Edward Cullen as the quintessential vampire. Yes, he's a vampire, but he's not the one you think about. Dracula is. He is who a vampire is supposed to be. And Van Helsing, he's a vampire hunter. And whenever you think of someone who hunts vampires, it's always Van Helsing. You're not going to go think of the Volturi, you know? Um, even, I mean, yeah, they were vampires too. So they didn't necessarily hunt vampires, but they weren't afraid to attack their own. Um, Dracula is in the public domain. I do have some pictures I'm going to post of the graphic novel of Dracula. It's pretty good. Honestly, it is pretty good. I did check it out from the library, so it's not there. I have it, guys. But I checked it out for that reason. I wanted to see, can you get the story of Dracula from the extra graphic novel? And actually, you can. You know, if you are someone who's visual, I'm gonna take it back to the library soon, so you can have a chance to look at it. But it's good. If you want a movie, go watch a movie. There's different movies about it. There, it's in everything now. So you can't say, "Oh, I just can't get into it." I have trouble reading. No, no, never say you have trouble reading. That's a cop out. So the plot to Dracula, in case you don't know it, so Jonathan Harker, he's he's gonna go see Dracula. He goes to the castle, and he's trying to go and help him purchase um I believe some land, or purchase a property in London. So that's why he goes out there to go sign paperwork and get him, to fill the stuff out. So it's uh, what it's based off is the Harker wanders around the castle, and the count had told him, "Bro, don't go out at night. Stay in your room. Stay comfortable. Don't go wandering. If you wander the castles, um, it could be dangerous." And what does Jonathan do? He wanders the castle at night, and he encounters three vampire women. Dracula goes and helps him, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, bro, I'm so sorry this happened to you." Um, he gives the women, I believe that's how he rescues them. He gives the women a child for them to feed on. Harker awakens the next day in his bed, and he's all like, "Wow, that's so weird." You know, Dracula leaves the castle, and Harker's by himself with those vampire women. Harker escapes with his life and ends up, in a Budapest hospital, just kind of like out of it. Dracula goes to England with boxes of earth from his castle because he needs to be able to have that's what gives it or keeps him, healthy. The ground from, the castle. Without it, he kind of starts to decay, he gets sick, he can't survive without it. So the captain's log, again, remember, so this book is based off, letters, newspaper articles, logs, things that, are all just gathered around together to be able to create the story of what's going on. So in the captain's log, the crew, narrate how someone's disappeared, and I believe the captain's by himself, and he's trying to stay afloat, and there's an animal, kind of like a large dog that's, heading towards shore, and that's kind of what happens with Dracula. Dracula's basically the large dog. Um, so each story depicts what's happening, okay? Then we meet the friend Lucy, who was friends with Mina, which is Harker's fiance, and he describes the marriage proposal from Dr. John Seward, Quincy Morris, and Arthur Homewood. Lucy accepts Homewood's proposal, but they all remain friends. And then Mina joins her friend Lucy on a holiday. And okay, so Lucy begins sleepwalking, and um, after his ship lands there, Dracula stalks Lucy because he finds her attractive and he finds her delicious looking, and he's all like, "I'm gonna have her as a snack," and that's where this is going, right? So, okay, to make a long story short, because you need to read the book, eventually, um, in Romania, okay, so they're hunting down Dracula, and you're like, well, where does Van Helsing come in? Okay, so Van Helsing comes in because, at this point, I believe Lucy has already become a vampire, and now Dracula's after Mina, and Jonathan is sick because he was, being attacked by vampires and stuff. So, she has a second connection to Dracula, Estamina, and she's like, "Oh, I can kind of sense where he's at." And with that, they're able to track his movements. And Van Helsing comes, and he's all like, "Not today, bro. You're gonna go down." They finally trap him, and they kill him. Okay, so if you see this, man, like, oh wow, like that's Dracula. Yeah, that's Dracula. It's exciting, and you got to remember back when it was written, the excitement, the salaciousness of it all was very different, and it's sexy. So in conclusion, here, Dracula's a very sexy individual, sexy mind. Likes to suck your blood, and if you're not into that, sorry about that, but that's what he does, and it is what it is. So if you like this podcast, like and subscribe and follow us at Galactus Pod. We have a link to all our social media there. Go out, get yourself a coffee or a delicious glass of red wine in honor of Dracula. And remember, life begins after coffee. Thank you.